selling video games in China 嗱，最近咧就有新嘅措施係規管一啲 video games 喺 China 就唔可以日日打啦。咁我哋一齊睇下 video games 呢一樣嘢 in China. China is a market that is very difficult for video games to enter. It is not that there are very few gamers in the country, or people do not have extra cash. Indeed, 即係事實上 in fact. China has tens of millions of game players that make it literally, 基本上 literally, 即係 generally, the biggest game market in the world, and the Chinese, of course, can afford a few games from time to time. Considering 開頭即係考慮到 video games are far from being luxury items. Far from 即係唔係一個奢侈品，即係可以 afford 到嘅，即係 inexpensive。嗱，我哋唔會用 cheap 呢個字，好負面 ，inexpensive 平價嘅嘢。And yes, China has censorship. Censor 即係管制。But so do many other countries. What makes this market a big challenge for game developers is nothing but the prevalence of privacy. Prevalence 係流行 ，privacy 即係私隱。簡單啲嚟講，因為私隱嘅問題，所以 game developers 喺內地呢個 market 難做。So in other parts of the world, privacy used to exist in the form of physical pirated copies. Physical pirated copies 係啲，譬如以前打機會買啲假嘅 game， 咁係一個 physical 嘅 pirated copies. Gamers purchase those unauthorized discs 冇被批准嘅 and costs for a fraction of the original price. Fraction 一小部分 ，original 即係原價。因為以前嗰啲譬如一隻真 game 係500-600蚊，一隻假 game 20-30蚊，佢哋淨係攞到一個 fraction， 一個好 fraction， 付咗一個好 fraction 嘅 price 就可以買到隻 game。As anonymous game designer once put it on the internet 永遠大街。The Chinese gamers tend to think that 即係傾向 think that games were only worth a few dollars, and that was when they were willing to pay at least a few bucks. And thanks to 即係由於 high-speed broadband network, internet service, Chinese gamers nowadays 而家有 prefer to download the games completely free of charge, which ironically kill the whole privacy industry. Ironically 諷刺地，咁自從有咗 online 之後咧，所有 game 都要 download， 咁 download 之後咧，啲翻版碟 physical 嘅 pirated copies 嘅呢一啲 market 咧，就全部都冇咁滯啦。So that's why developers and publishers 整 game 嗰啲我叫 developers， 出版嗰啲叫 publishers，alike have been avoiding the Chinese market for decades despite the market size。雖然好大個 market， 但係有啲 developers 係唔進入 Chinese 呢個 market。The Chinese version games do exist 係有存在嘅 ，but they are mainly for Hong Kong and Taiwan markets, and they usually only have Chinese subtitles 字幕啊。Games with Chinese voice-over extremely rare， 好罕有。Big companies produce Chinese version games just to maximize their profits， 將佢最大化賺最多錢 ，maximize their profits。And few of them, if any, have made games that target specifically the Chinese market。但大部分嘅 game 咧係好少，真係好具體、好聚焦，淨係 target Chinese market。But the popularity of free games in mobile app markets has changed the rules of the game industry. Developers discover free games can be cash cows. Cash cows 即係好賺錢，即係 profitable。去到大學你就會讀 cash cow SWOT analysis。SWOT analysis 其中一個就要分析佢係咪 cash cow。cash cow 即係好賺錢嘅 business， 我哋叫 cash cow。If they make to sell digital weapons, armors, tokens, or useless costumes to players， 一啲冇用嘅 costumes to players。大陸有人打 game 咧，打機咧喺裏邊買一套衫咧係110萬人民幣都有買。Statistics 數據 show that only less than 5% of players in free market are willing to pay, and far less pay regularly。只有5% 嘅人俾錢嘅，但係呢5% 已經夠養起成個 industry。So the trick of making a free game is successful is to grow the population 即係總人口。Of active users 即係成日打機嘅。When the population is a concern, China is always the ideal market, which explains why developers are trying hard to produce free games. The Chinese players are even harder to convince them to pay a few bucks. It looks like 乜嘢乜嘢 ，doesn't it？ 唔需要你。個 point 係咩咧？你要打隻 free game 咧，佢就要餵你食廣告 advertisement。咁如果你買 game 咧，就唔需要食 advertisements。所以呢個世界冇 free lunch，there's no free lunch at all。往常唔打機，我有嘅打槍 game 咯，打爆機幾日我打爆機就唔玩。第一部機打咗幾日我抌咗佢，我唔中意打機，因為打機啲 knowledge 係唔可以 transfer。即係你返份工唔會教人打機，電競香港幾多個電競，我唔同意打機。學嘢咧要學啲可以 transfer 嘅，學嘢咧要學啲有 value 嘅。學嘢咧要學啲可以不停累積 accumulate， 不停會 enrich 嘅，放大嘅。學一個可以 transfer 有 value 同可以 enlarge 嘅 knowledge 咧，你隨時可以教人嘅，喺任何情況都可以教人嘅，咁你就會值錢 valuable。咁我想講咩？打少啲機，學多啲嘢，增值自己。寫兩段話俾安 Sir 聽，學咗啲乜？呢度3類動詞圈俾安 Sir。加油，認真學習。